Okay, so now that we kind of have an introduction to our first class, I wanted to just give you an orientation to what we will be doing throughout the semester. So, of course, all of our stuff's going to be listed here on Moodle too, and and I already have almost everything uploaded. I'm probably going to be taking some things down and putting other things up, so this page will be revised, but it gives you a pretty good overview of what we'll be doing. So the class, let me first tell you about the different classes that we're going to have. So of course this first week is just an orientation to the course. Um, Starting next week, we're going to really dive into what is multiliteracies. We're going to have a town hall meeting on Centra from 7 to 9 p.m. And we're going to really answer or start to answer these questions. What is multiliteracies? And how can we reconsider literacy and learning in the 21st century? To prepare for that course, for this particular class next week, I'm going to ask that you read this chapter here that you can click on and download, um, titled Multiliteracies, New Learnings. It's heavy. It's definitely more philosophical. It'll take you a little while to get through it. And that's kind of how we're going to start off this semester. I'm going to start off with a couple global pieces for you to read, and get some philosophical, theoretical underpinnings. And then we're going to start seeing how these theoretical perspectives start um, coming into our pedagogy and our practice. So, if you can, by next week, please read this article and give yourself some time to read it. The other thing I want you to read, it's actually not a heavy piece, it's actually a really fascinating piece to read, but it's a long piece, and that's Tom Friedman's The World is Flat. I have you reading a chapter from his book, but when I say a chapter, his chapter is 150 pages long. So, go ahead and start reading that. We're not going to talk about that until the following class, which is January 22nd. So go ahead and start reading those two, but be prepared to talk about this multiliteracies one in class next week. So next week is going to be a more theoretical, kind of big picture, kind of global type of class. Um, and then uh, and same with the next class, which you'll take online. Um, we just start thinking about this global perspective, and then in subsequent weeks we start going much more practical and seeing how these different things apply within our classrooms. And so what we'll do is we'll take 2 weeks and we'll talk about how we use multiliteracies to research our world. So we'll start talking about search engines and like Google and things like that, and YouTube. We'll start talking about how you might use WebQuest in your classroom, how you can use Google. You'll be really interested to know that you can use Google in so many different ways throughout your classroom. And so we're going to have a center class in which we have a hands-on kind of exploratory kind of class, and then you'll spend the rest of that week and the next week just kind of well, exploring that topic, researching our world. I'll have some different activities and exercises for you to do and to go on and to create different stuff. Uh, then we go into communicating in our world, and this is where we're going to be talking about Skype and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and really learning about different ways that people use Web 2.0 tools to communicate to students, to parents, to other teachers, to administrators. And then again, you'll have a practical application. So you're starting to see the pattern. What the pattern is I introduce you to a topic like communicating the world or researching the world, and we do some hands-on playing with that in a center class in which I can support you. And then you spend the next week really delving into it on your own and playing around with the tools. Okay, so we talked about researching, we talked about communicating, and then we talk about collaborating. So we talk about all these different tools we can use to collaborate in the classroom. So we'll have a central class on that, and then we actually have spring break. And then you have your practical application the week after spring break. And I give you some different things to do. Then we explore our world. So I show you some different instruments you can use to explore different things. And then, of course, there's a practical application that following week. And then we talk about creating in our world. So we have uh, we start talking about different ways that we can use some of these technologies to create. And then again, we have a practical application. We finish by one that's sharing our world. So, how do we take these tools and share to a more global audience? And that's going to actually be, we're not going to have a central class for that. We're just going to have an online class in which you explore some different things. And then that's it. And then we reflect on what we learned. And I have you take a technology survey again, and you see how much you've grown over the semester. So you can just see by just looking down our Moodle page that this is just an exploratory class. We're going to be talking, and then you're going to be doing some practical application. And so I'm really hoping that it's engaging, that it's fun for you, and that's where the frustration is going to come in, because you're going to be playing around with these tools for the first time, and you're gonna some of the tools will drive you nuts because it's gonna take you a couple hours to figure them out. And so I really think you need a plan on each week giving yourself 4 to 5 hours of class time on a computer just figuring things out. Sometimes some weeks it won't be that much, and some weeks might be a little bit more. So just kind of plot that into your week, and know that you're probably going to commit, a good 4 to 6 hours a week for this particular class. So essentially, we have four assignments, and they're relatively easy. So the first one is just your forum discussions and dialogue. So you're going to have multiple forum discussions that I will have uploaded, um, and you'll have 9 of them, and each of them will be worth 2 points each. So you'll get a point by posting an initial response, and then you'll get the second point by providing meaningful responses to at least 3 of your peers. Um, and so, various times throughout the semester, I'll have a forum that you'll go on to and just go ahead and post your response to. So easy. We've done that before, so it's easy. Um, the second is a practicum project. So this is part of the pedagogy. What I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to take something that you have already planned to do in your classroom sometime this semester. And then I want you to incorporate some of the digital tools that you've learned about in our class into that project so that your project becomes more multimodal in some way. And so some different examples of things that you could do. A service learning project in which students use blogs, email, YouTube, or other digital tools to advocate for a cause. Um, a history project in which students use bookmarking tools to study or research a topic and then use a wiki or blog to write about their findings. And then link them to other websites or wiki pages. I have a friend who does a Holocaust unit with her high school students, and each person is assigned a different part of the Holocaust, different pieces of the Holocaust, and then they have to go back through and read all their peers' pages and make links so that it becomes like this big wiki, which I thought was a really cool idea. A book club that meets digitally rather than face to face. Maybe students read the same book and then they respond to various chapters using a wiki or blog that you've created. Some sort of writing project that students might use photos or podcasts and music to tell their own life stories. Sound familiar? Maybe a science project where students use Web 2.0 tools to research and record events of an experiment. I mean, be thoughtful and be creative, and create something in which don't reinvent the wheel. Already use something that you have planned in your class for this semester, but then really think about how can I bring in other tools so I can present this information more multimodally. So that's going to be that's your project. So for several weeks, you'll implement it, and then you'll chart your progression and your students' progression. And I'll have a big wiki page um, for our class, and you're going to post like your overview of your project, what your goals are, create an outline for it. You'll each week provide updates about what happened. You'll create a digital how-to for how you use some of the different tools within your class, and then a final reflection. All this is going to be posted onto a wiki. Um, so um, so that's going to be one of your projects, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at a later date. Another probably like your big one, but it should be fun. You know, it's not uh, well, it's the bulk of your grade, which is this multi-literacies toolkit portfolio that you're going to be creating. And each different 2 week block period of classes is going to ask you to research, communicate, collaborate, explore, create, and share. And you're going to create what we call a live binder that contains a lot of these. I'm going to show you what a live binder looks like, a sample from when I've taught this class before. Um, so here's Kathleen. So here's her just opening page. So this is called Live Binders. We're going to be learning more about this later, where she just introduces herself. And then, you know, you'll do researching our world and you'll be learning about different research tools. And you'll see how she's created different links to things that she's learned about from that particular class period. And so this becomes a binder for you to just show your learning, to show what you've learned from that particular section of the class. I'll post some of these different live binders up on Moodle so you guys can get a better sense. Here's another one that somebody created about the Holocaust, her Holocaust project, in which she, you know, shows different researching tools she used to create that project, different communication tools that she used. Um, so what you'll be doing is you'll be learning about these various elements of multiliteracies and writing different reflections about them and creating all this using a live binder portfolio. All right. So that's probably your biggest project, and you will be working on that project throughout the semester. So each 2 week period of time, you're going to be uploading different components of this binder. So it's not something that you're going to do all at once. You're going to be compiling this portfolio throughout the semester. And then your final project is a simple one. You're at the end of the semester, you're going to create a 5-minute presentation using some sort of multimedia like YouTube, or create some sort of video or audio boo or something in which you discuss what you've learned. Simple, easy, no longer than 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and it should be a reflection, just a reflection on what you learned. That's it. So just to rehash, it's just your forum discussions, a practicum project, a portfolio, and then a final presentation. Again, I don't want you to be overwhelmed by doing assignments in this class because you're already going to be overwhelmed with all these different tools I'm going to be throwing at you. So I want this to be an exploratory class, something for you to have fun in. At the end of the semester, my goal is for you to say, it was work, I got frustrated at times, but ultimately I had fun and I learned something new that I never knew before. And now I have a whole new thing to bring into my classroom that I never have brought into my classroom before. That's my goal, my vision for this class. Hope it will live up to what my goal is. So thanks everybody. That's the end of this portion. And again, we'll talk more about this when we gather together for our center class next week. Thanks, everybody.